My mother was the Queen for a very long time. And although you kind of know that this might happen, you don't really think about it very much.
I mean, that was my life. There was no way of telling that it wasn't ordinary. I mean, as far as I knew, there were lots of other people who grew up that way.
But it was the concept of how to help children and the very simple, rather straightforward approach to health and hygiene.
For years, the royal spotlight has danced around whispers, hidden tensions, and tightly guarded secrets. But now, that silence is cracking. Princess Anne and King Charles have finally stepped forward with a message that's shaking Buckingham Palace to its core. It's time to reveal everything.
In this purpose, I know that I shall be upheld by the affection and loyalty of the peoples whose sovereign I have been called upon to be.
What exactly are they about to confess? A long-held family truth? A royal betrayal? Or something far more explosive than anyone imagined? One thing's for sure, this isn't a carefully scripted press release. This is raw, real, and royally revealing. And this is about to change everything. The moment that shook Camilla's crown. Princess Anne had always been the embodiment of royal discipline, a symbol of unyielding tradition amidst Buckingham Palace's glittering facade. Her reputation for loyalty and hard work set her apart, but those who paid attention noticed something had shifted. It wasn't an official statement or a scandal splashed across tabloids. It began with lingering glances, a stony glare at banquets, and a deliberate refusal to acknowledge Camilla with a curtsy. Tension simmered beneath the surface, and those in the palace saw the cracks before the public did. Anne had never sought the spotlight, but when she spoke, her words carried weight. As the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth, she was a pillar of tradition, a voice that commanded attention. So, when she finally broke her silence, the room listened. It happened at a private royal banquet, where chandeliers glittered and conversations hummed with regal elegance. Yet the moment Anne spoke, the hum died, replaced by a stunned silence. She turned to Camilla and said with icy precision, "You may wear the crown, but you are queen consort, nothing more." The words fell like stones into still water, sending ripples across the gilded room. Camilla's smile faltered, her fingers instinctively adjusting the diamond bracelet on her wrist, a gesture so small it would have gone unnoticed on any other night. But not tonight. Tonight, every movement mattered. Anne's declaration wasn't just a slip of the tongue, it was a direct challenge, not just to Camilla's authority, but to King Charles himself. He stood just feet away, frozen between the woman he loved and the sister whose loyalty to the late Queen had never wavered. His grip tightened around his wine glass, knuckles whitening with tension. This wasn't just a private spat, it was an open rebellion against the narrative that had been carefully constructed over the years. For years, rumors swirled about Queen Elizabeth's true feelings regarding Camilla's rise. Officially, she was to be queen consort. No more, no less. It was a compromise, a way to ease public sentiment and maintain the monarchy's image.
I'm 75 now, and I can't remember anybody except the Queen being there.
But slowly, that title began to fade. First in whispers, then in official documents, until it vanished entirely from public reference. Queen Camilla, not Queen Consort. It was as if history itself was being rewritten, and Princess Anne, bound by loyalty to her mother's wishes, would not let it slide unchallenged. The banquet hall, glittering with opulence, now felt colder, heavier. Guests exchanged nervous glances, some pretending to study their plates, others daring quick looks at the grand double doors, as if escape might shield them from the rising tension. Palace staff stood motionless along the walls, their eyes locked forward but their bodies tense, acutely aware that they were witnessing the unthinkable. a royal challenge within the walls of Buckingham Palace. Anne's words weren't a mere personal jab. They were a declaration, a line drawn in marble. She wasn't just speaking for herself. She was echoing the late Queen's decree, one that the public remembered well.
So there are some disadvantages to crowns, but otherwise they're quite important things.
Camilla was to be Queen Consort. Nothing more. It had been a promise, a reassurance to the nation, and Anne was determined to see it honored. Camilla, maintaining her composure, raised her glass in a silent toast, a gesture of defiance amidst the whispers and stolen glances. Around her, the guests mirrored her action, lifting their glasses almost out of habit. But their eyes betrayed them. Some darted nervously towards Anne, others towards King Charles, each one silently calculating the implications of what had just unraveled. The fragile unity of the monarchy had cracked, and everyone in that room knew it. But Anne remained unmoved. Her hands rested calmly in her lap, her gaze unwavering. She had said what she needed to say, and the implications would ripple far beyond those gilded walls. Yet this was only the beginning. For hidden beneath the polished marble and royal chandeliers lay shadows of secrets long buried, secrets that had the power to shake the very foundation of the monarchy. But what if the ghost of the past still lingered, waiting for its moment to return? So, to understand why Princess Anne's fury cuts so deep, we have to go back decades to the one name no one dares mention anymore: Andrew Parker Bowles. Who is this man? The untold betrayal that shook the crown. Before Camilla became known as Prince Charles's companion, she was already part of a royal love story, one that didn't start with Charles, but with Princess Anne. Long before Camilla's name was tied to scandal, she'd been romantically involved with Andrew Parker Bowles, a well-connected military officer. But Anne had been the first royal woman to love Andrew. Their bond was strong, but it ended abruptly due to royal tradition. Andrew was Catholic, and the Church of England forbade the marriage of a royal to a Catholic. The monarchy, strictly following protocol, refused to approve their union. Anne, loyal to her duties, sacrificed her desires for the crown. Camilla, however, defied tradition and married Andrew, the very man Anne had loved. To the public, it seemed like just another royal chapter, but for Anne, it was a sting of betrayal. That was only the beginning. Years later, Camilla reappeared in royal life, not as Anne's rival, but as Prince Charles's lover, and eventually his wife. At their wedding, the tension was palpable. Princess Anne's body language was colder than the Balmoral winds. Her rigid posture and distant gaze were unmistakable. She stood there out of duty, but her presence felt like a silent protest. Anne's refusal to soften her gaze or offer any acknowledgement of Camilla spoke volumes. The tension didn't ease. Over time, Anne and Andrew remained connected through royal duties. Their interactions, though polite, stoked the flames of unease. Camilla, now a part of the royal family, grew increasingly unsettled by Anne's unyielding presence. Anne made no effort to hide her disdain. When Camilla became Queen Consort, Anne's silent rebellion became even more pronounced. She refused to curtsy, offer congratulations, or make any public acknowledgement of Camilla's new title, which was a breach of protocol. Royal watchers quickly noticed. What many didn't realize was that Anne still outranked Camilla by virtue of birth and decades of service. She had no intention of pretending otherwise. Anne's defiance wasn't just personal, it was also rooted in loyalty to her late mother, Queen Elizabeth. Though the Queen's public 2022 statement seemed to accept Camilla as Queen Consort when Charles ascended the throne, whispers behind palace walls told a different story. Insiders suggested Queen Elizabeth's acceptance was not unconditional. The title consort wasn't just ceremonial, it was a boundary.
I'm completely hopeless at it. I was a really bad actor at school, and I've never been able to master the art of mimicry. But
A reminder that Camilla would never stand on equal footing with Elizabeth in legacy or reverence. Queen Elizabeth reportedly shared her true feelings with a select few, including Princess Anne. During one heated exchange, Anne allegedly confronted Camilla directly, saying, "You are not queen. You are queen consort. My mother made that clear." Witnesses recalled how Camilla's composure faltered, her face going pale under Anne's icy words. This wasn't just a personal jab, it was the start of a deep royal fracture. After Queen Elizabeth's death, Camilla subtly dropped consort from her title. No announcement was made, but the change was significant. For Anne, it felt like a betrayal of her mother's legacy. Anne's silent protest then turned public, erupting during a grand banquet where her words left the room in stunned silence. Palace aides whispered that the Queen's instructions about Camilla's title had been clear, yet somehow it changed. The burning question now isn't just about Camilla's role. It's about King Charles's decision to allow it. If Anne knew her mother's wishes, surely Charles did too. So why did he permit Camilla to become queen without a fight? Was it love, guilt, or fear of damaging the monarchy's fragile unity? But as whispers of betrayal echo through the palace halls, the pressure builds, placing King Charles in a state of dilemma. If the Queen's wishes were ignored, how would he justify it? And more importantly, could his silence unravel the very fabric of the monarchy? Stay tuned for his response.
Waving to the thousands of people who are thronging the Mall, who have braved the rain and are here to witness an historic moment.
King Charles's impossible choice. Behind the grand walls of Buckingham Palace, King Charles finds himself trapped between two powerful forces of love and legacy. To the world, he appears regal and composed, the embodiment of royal tradition. But behind closed doors, he is a man haunted by an impossible choice: to honor his mother's wishes or protect his wife's fragile place in history. For nearly 2 decades, Charles worked tirelessly to reshape Camilla's public image. The woman once branded as the other woman by the press gradually transformed into a symbol of stability and grace. Through carefully staged appearances and meticulously planned events, Camilla's reputation shifted. She stood beside Charles at every major occasion, her image softened by time and strategic optics. To many, it seemed that Camilla had finally secured her place within the monarchy. But for Charles, the shadow of his mother's will loomed large. Queen Elizabeth's wishes were never ambiguous. Camilla was to be queen consort, nothing more. It was not a suggestion, but a command born out of tradition and deep-rooted royal expectations. Charles knew this. He had always known. Yet, out of love and loyalty, he tried to walk a path no king had ever dared tread. He allowed Camilla's status to grow publicly, standing by her side with unwavering support. Her title evolved subtly, almost quietly, from queen consort to simply queen. It was a gradual shift, but a significant one. But Charles's private actions told a different story. In quiet moments, he began to elevate William and Catherine, positioning them more prominently at royal events and entrusting them with greater responsibilities. Their increased visibility was not accidental. It was a signal, a gesture of respect to his mother's legacy and perhaps an attempt to appease Princess Anne, who had never hidden her disdain for Camilla's new role. Anne's coldness was unmistakable, especially after the grand banquet where she openly refused to acknowledge Camilla as anything more than queen consort. Her silent defiance was a breach of royal protocol. Yet Charles did nothing. He did not confront Anne, did not demand respect, did not silence her. Because deep down, Charles knew she was right. Queen Elizabeth had made her wishes clear, and Anne had simply spoken them out loud. Within the palace, Camilla's absence from key decision-making circles became apparent. Her influence, once growing, now seemed to wane. She remained by Charles's side, but her presence felt more ceremonial than substantial. It was as if the palace itself had decided to quietly honor Queen Elizabeth's wishes, even if it meant sidelining the new queen. For Charles, the agony is palpable. He is not just a king. He is a son bound by his mother's legacy, a husband loyal to his wife, and a father with an eye on the future. His silence is not out of weakness, but out of conflict, a desperate hope that the storm would pass on its own. But while Charles remained still, Anne acted with the precision of a seasoned royal, unafraid to challenge Camilla's growing influence. King Charles and Princess Anne's royal journey. Long before they were known as King Charles and Princess Anne, they were simply Charles and Anne, two siblings running through palace halls, laughing and learning away from the public eye. Stripped of their grand titles, they shared a bond that no crown could forge. To the outside world, their childhood seemed like a fairy tale, majestic castles, grand carriages, and glittering ceremonies. But behind the golden facade lay a different reality, one marked by rigid rules, endless lessons, and the heavy expectations of royalty. From the moment they could walk, Charles and Anne were taught how to wave, speak, and behave like royals. For Anne, the rigid structure only fueled her independent spirit. Even as a young girl, she displayed a fierce determination and sharp mind, unafraid to speak her thoughts. She wasn't just a follower of royal protocol. She questioned it, standing out as someone who understood that royalty wasn't merely about luxury, but about duty and sacrifice. Charles, on the other hand, carried the heavy weight of being the future king. Sensitive and thoughtful, he often struggled with the immense pressure of his destiny.
To this part of the world, and hope that I survive long enough to come back again and see you all. Thank you.
But in those moments, Anne was always there, steady, strong, and unflinching. Their connection didn't need grand words. A shared glance or a comforting nudge spoke louder than any declaration. Where Charles hesitated, Anne charged forward with confidence. Where he doubted, she stood firm. Their bond became a silent strength, one that didn't need public display to be understood. Their childhood was filled with small but powerful moments, riding horses across Balmoral's sprawling grounds, whispering secret jokes during long ceremonies, and comforting each other when the weight of their titles grew too heavy. They were more than just royal siblings. They were each other's pillars in a world where loyalty was often shadowed by protocol. Despite the grandeur of palace life, both Charles and Anne knew that royal titles came with invisible chains. Growing up in splendor didn't mean freedom. It meant a life dictated by tradition and duty. Yet amid royal expectations, they found solace in their bond, a bond that would later prove unshakable as they navigated the storms of royal life together. But as new faces entered the palace and roles began to shift, tension brewed beneath the surface. And that brings us to how Camilla truly sees Kate Middleton within the royal palace. Could this perception reveal hidden fractures that threaten the monarchy's delicate balance? Stay tuned. The Ghost of Diana and the Rise of Kate. To Camilla, Kate Middleton wasn't just the new Princess of Wales, she was a living reminder of Diana. From the moment Kate stepped into the royal spotlight, the comparisons were instant. Her elegance, grace, and natural charm stirred memories of the one woman Camilla could never escape, Princess Diana.
I made many friends who I often see, and in spite of what Miss Fudge and my other teachers may have thought at the time, I did actually learn something.
For Camilla, the resemblance wasn't just uncanny, it was haunting. Kate may not have been born into royalty, but she carried herself with the poise of someone who had. Her effortless grace captivated the public, and her popularity soared. even surprising Queen Elizabeth. Behind palace walls, the Queen spoke highly of Kate's loyalty, poise, and ability to remain scandal-free, an achievement in a world where royal missteps are headline news. For Camilla, it felt like déjà vu. She had spent decades clawing her way from the other woman to an accepted royal figure, only to watch Kate earn the public's affection with ease. This silent competition simmered beneath the surface, creating a tension that only grew with time. According to palace whispers, Camilla subtly reminded staff of her seniority during events. One particularly sharp gesture reportedly came when Kate's parents, Michael and Carol Middleton, were instructed to enter through the servants' entrance during a royal event. It wasn't spoken of publicly, but the insult was deeply felt. Kate, however, responded not with confrontation, but with quiet defiance. When Camilla became queen consort, Kate subtly stopped curtsying. There were no grand gestures, no dramatic announcements, just a silent rebellion that didn't go unnoticed within palace walls. It was a move that spoke volumes, deepening the quiet divide between the two. The late Queen Elizabeth's treatment of both women only widened that gap. While Camilla was cautiously accepted, Kate was embraced with genuine warmth. The Queen saw in Kate the future she longed for, stable, scandal-free, and deeply admired by the public. For Camilla, it was a bitter pill to swallow. Despite her decades beside Charles, she would always carry the weight of being the other woman, while Kate effortlessly stepped into Diana's shoes without ever asking for the public's love. The tension between Kate and Camilla stretched further as royal duties grew. Tradition called for Camilla to mentor Kate, guiding her through the intricate maze of royal expectations, but that guidance never came. Some said it was bitterness, others whispered it was fear. Whatever the reason, the silence between them only grew heavier. While the public rallied behind Kate, William's lingering wounds from his mother's death only deepened the divide. To him, Camilla wasn't just his father's wife. She was the woman who had replaced his mother. William was just 15 when Diana died, and the loss left scars that would never fully heal.
One of his most candid interviews ever, Britain's Prince William is talking about the impact of losing his mother. He's hoping to help others by sharing his very personal thoughts.
To him, Diana wasn't merely a royal figure. She was warmth and truth amid palace shadows. He knew of the betrayal, the whispers, the cold silences, and he knew their source, Charles and Camilla. When Camilla re-entered royal life, not as a secret, but as Charles's public partner, William did not embrace her. He tolerated her. Insiders described their relationship as formal and distant. Camilla reportedly feared their first meeting, delaying it as long as she could. When it finally happened, William was polite, but his eyes gave everything away. That frosty distance has never thawed. The cracks widened when rumors spread that Camilla, or those close to her, had leaked information about William and Harry to the press. True or not, the damage was done, and William's trust was shattered. Years later, whispers emerged that Camilla had privately expressed disdain for Kate, calling her too common, too middle class, too adored by the press. Her frustration only deepened when Queen Elizabeth embraced Kate warmly. To William, it wasn't just disrespect. It was history repeating itself. Another woman cast aside, more whispers within palace walls, and once again, Camilla at the heart of it. But this time, William wasn't a powerless child. He was the future king.
What has impressed you most about her?
I think just the qualities that are essential for somebody in a leadership role.
Every step he took with Kate, every appearance, was part of a calculated vision for the monarchy, one where Camilla's influence would be a shadow of the past. So how did Kate Middleton transform not just herself, but the very image of the monarchy? And what did that mean for Camilla's place in the royal legacy? Keep watching The Unlikely Path to Royalty. When Kate Middleton first walked through the gates of St. Andrews University, she was just another student with dreams and ambitions. The idea of becoming the future Queen of England seemed like a distant fairy tale. But fate had its plans. It was in those historic halls that she crossed paths with Prince William. Away from the prying eyes of the press and royal expectations, their relationship began quietly, rooted in friendship, laughter, and shared experiences. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, blossoming into something far more significant than anyone had predicted. But as with every fairy tale, there were trials. In 2007, news broke of their unexpected split. Critics and tabloids were quick to declare Kate's royal dreams shattered. For many, it seemed like her brief brush with royalty had come to an end. But what followed stunned the nation and the palace. Kate didn't crumble. She returned stronger, more composed, and more determined than ever. The breakup taught her a lesson that few royal hopefuls ever grasp: how to endure the storm without losing herself. Her calm grace under pressure caught the attention of Queen Elizabeth, who reportedly admired Kate's resilience, loyalty, and poise amidst media chaos. Behind palace walls, Kate began what insiders called a royal boot camp, guided by Samantha Cohen, the Queen's trusted aide. She was taught the delicate art of diplomacy, the expectations of public engagement, and the intricate nuances of royal life. It wasn't about glamour, it was about grit. And Kate embraced it all with quiet determination. As Kate stepped further into the spotlight, the media pressure only grew. Headlines constantly compared her to Diana, scrutinizing every dress, every appearance, and every gesture. But instead of bending under the weight, Kate carved out her own path.
It is important, however, to remind ourselves of the big picture as we meet here today. What are we trying to improve by focusing our efforts on mental health?
She championed causes close to her heart, such as early childhood development, mental health awareness, and modern motherhood. She wasn't just William's wife, she was becoming a leader in her own right. Motherhood only strengthened her role. With each public appearance alongside Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, Kate presented a new image of royalty, one that was warm, relatable, and grounded. Her dedication and authenticity earned her the Queen's respect, cementing her place not just in the family, but in the hearts of the public. Symbolically, Kate began wearing pieces from both Diana and Queen Elizabeth's jewelry collections. To many, it was a message of unity. She wasn't replacing anyone. She was honoring both legacies while building her own. The crowds now cheer, not just for her title, but for her presence. She's no longer an outsider. She's the embodiment of the monarchy's next chapter. But as Kate's star rose, tensions grew behind palace walls. Her effortless charm and genuine connection with the public highlighted Camilla's struggles to gain acceptance. As the layers of royal secrecy begin to unravel, what truths are still hidden behind the palace walls? And when the time comes, will they reveal everything? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.